And here we are, the music stops. And we're live again. Whoa! And we found our missing, I found our missing guest. And here we are together
Hi,
at the finally.
hey Torbjörn.
So, hello, Christian. Um, and we are going to do this for half an hour because now it's where everything works. We are here both together and just we're going to talk about the topic we have today, and we're gonna have a little bit of introduction, but I want to jump to the value, to the good stuff, especially for those who are watching the recording, because it's good to just jump right into it. The guest I have here, and like the guest is like the honorable person, like we are that's like uh, my 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 pleasure to have you here, Christian. You are a functional health practitioner and longevity author. You that's the book you have published about how to overcome fatigue, optimize your health, and achieve mental clarity. And today's topic is then about mental performance and the high performance habits. Uh, and the topic is like unlocking peak mental performance habits, health, and longevity. And me, I'm Torbjörn Strand. I'm a leadership coach, especially for personal leadership and also to lead other people. I apply then positive psychology and things like good habits around that influence your performance, and I use then my knowledge I have around that. But that's enough about me. Um, and I could add that I help like introverts in client-facing positions. Like that's my specialty. Like I know how demanding it might be for introverts, especially in facing clients, and that they want to proceed, achieve better positions, or they want either, or they have a business where they face clients. So yes, that's about that.
hmm
Now, Christian, uh, welcome. What do
Thank you.
you? Nice to have you here. How
Thank you.
would you like to start?
Yeah, no, it's interesting what you do, because I when I was working kind of corporate, that definitely seems like there was a lot of very smart people that were also introverted that I worked with, and
Mm.
very often in larger or like a meeting or this kind of setting, it would be difficult for them to just have their voices heard, even though they had such good input to progress the project, the company, whatever goals of the organization. So I think it's amazing
Mm.
work that you're doing. Is super important.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like mm, I know it so well for myself because I'm more introverted. I'm like, and it's like difficult. How do you know which level of because it's a level, a scale, 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And all people are from 0 to 100. 100 is like extroversion, 100%, and like zero is more
Yeah.
introverted. That's how you measure it. And I'm somewhere in the between, but for sure to the introverted side. And I see the challenges. I see, for example, more extroverted people talking more and getting more attention, and let's even stealing ideas that they some a more introverted person have made, but they didn't present it so well. They were not
Yeah.
so like usually a more introverted person, or like really introverted person, they are, because it's not connected to how intelligent you are and knowledgeable. Oftentimes introverted people are more knowledgeable because they reflect, they study, they observe, but they are not the naturally not the best
Yeah.
speakers and presenters. And just to get people excited,
Yeah. Yeah.
they can learn it, but they are not
Yeah,
naturally.
and but you know what I've noticed with myself is over the years I had more introverted and more extroverted sort of phases in my life. And the more I kind of work with clients in terms of helping them with their health goals, the more I'm starting to think it actually, talking about peak mental performance, I think there's a lot of, it has an energetic influence. The more, if for example, when a person is sick, like you have cold or the flu, that in and of itself creates the desire to want to separate yourself from the group. You have lower energy, like your entire energies is lowered by the infection, quote unquote. And so that is a kind of perhaps a protective mechanism for the tribe, so you don't, infect other people potentially with something like that. And it's also, your energy is lowered in order for you to, so you're not jumping around doing backflips when you're fighting an infection. So I think the more I kind of understand some of these things, the more it seems like the level of neurotransmitters in the brain, or just in general in the human, in the central nervous system, the kind of that delicate balance seems to make a person either more wanting to retreat, or that is they have feel like they have more sort of, it's like this kind of expansiveness, openness. And I think a big extent, current energy reserves, or the ability to produce energy in the current moment, plays a great role in that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so interesting. Just the aspect of the like let's see now, the value in a evolutionary standpoint, like, because both have values, and also depending on like your situation, health situation, the role of just withdrawing and being more, like the role of shame also, is that when you're hurt, you're not supposed to infect other people if you have like some sort of disease, and also you like to be a burden for the group, you could say. But it's like all those things doesn't sound good to our ears in our modern day life, but from the evolutionary standpoint, everything has a value. And how we are today, and things that we have the different the differences we have a evolutionary value. And of course, we are not done in our evolution. We are maybe just in the beginning. Or where are we in like the
Yeah.
human
Oh yeah.
evolutionary? It's just we haven't been around for so long time, so we are maybe just in the beginning. We are like more
Yeah.
just a prototype maybe of humans.
Could
We are
be.
getting
Or,
somewhere.
or, or near the end.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe
Depending on
we
where you
not
look at
know.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, if
Depend.
yeah, we have like, because when we look at it, we have like three phases, three parts of our brain: the reptile brain, the middle brain, and the our
Neocortex.
cognitive neocortex part. So what's then the fourth part? I don't
Yeah,
know
exactly. The
where
fourth part is the microchip.
yeah,
Yeah.
our head is kind of, where
Yeah.
should we go?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
So I've noticed. So you have, there's many different ways you can look at it, right? But if you look at dopamine and serotonin, these are very much oppositional forces, we could say, in the central nervous system. So you cannot have a high dopamine and a high serotonin. It's unless you're physiologically like messing something with pharmacology. So generally, from my research, it seems like serotonin is what increases in times of like stress, when energetic reserves aren't very abundant, right? And it seems like if you're more towards the serotonin side, that seems to have this more desire to kind of turn inwards, right? Almost. So some animals actually use serotonin. It's kind of a hibernation hormone in some hibernating animals.
okay.
And it seems like, at least some researchers much smarter than myself, the way they're talking about serotonin, it's a metabolic regulator. So it's almost like when times are tough, it inhibits certain aspects of the body the physiology. And usually those are the kind of more nice to have features, like fertility, just kind of energy to run around, frolic, tiptoe through the tulips, this kind of stuff. Whereas if you raise dopamine, dopamine is more this kind of motivation. So it kind of, it gives you a desire to, see new things, explore, like even in like animal experiments, like a high dopamine animal will explore the maze, look around. Whereas like if they kind of increase the serotonin of the animal, it will just kind of like stay in one place, and it will be almost afraid to kind of new things. So I noticed the and these are very simple things to tweak with supplementation. I noticed the more I kind of boost my dopamine, the more this kind of openness comes out, and then the more then you want to like meet people, you give ideas, kind of stuff. So it's little things like that, I think, really impact the personality. So because we think our personality is um how we grew up, that environment, right? Our parents, maybe our school, our immediate family, like where we were, the economic times that there were. But also genetics seem to play a role. For example, certain people, they basically go through their dopamine very quickly, like myself, right? So if your gene that codes for the enzyme that breaks down dopamine works really fast, the enzyme works really well, that can cause you to burn through your dopamine, and that can cause people to then have a kind of thrill-seeking behavior to raise the dopamine. That can cause addictive type behaviors. So the more kind of learn that, and then that same gene, if it's slow, it can cause people to more worry, to ruminate, kind of get stuck on the same thought or kind of emotion. So I really feel like if we can understand our genetics a little bit more, our physiology, we can really tweak it for whatever ends or goals we have for ourselves.
Yeah. And absolutely, and I connect that to two things. I want first the role then of extroversion, introvert, the grade of are you more introverted or extroverted, and the role of dopamine there, especially dopamine, because they are connected. But I don't remember exactly now the science behind it, but it seems like if you are more introverted, you are more sensitive also to the dopamine effect, that how
Hmm.
much you can handle, and also like the levels of you, because there's also not only the level of it, it's also the baseline dopamine. So if you are like have a popcorn brain, you have to take a dopamine is it retox, you are like too sensitive to dopamine, have to take away like the social media and all that stuff.
Hmm.
You need to get up to your baseline, so you not go up and down, like the dopamine depleted.
Hmm.
But and then we have like the more extroverted people, they seek out let's say sensations, and they can handle them more, because it's like they either can handle the dopamine dose they get, or they are less sensitive to it and need to
Yeah.
to seek out, so that they can have what they want
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
they need. And so when we go into the neurotransmitters on that level, we can see understand human behavior from that viewpoint also, that what happens in the body, what are you sensitive to, and then just naturally you do what you do. um, and so that also means that, okay, this is how I'm, let's say, wired, but I can also influence that by learning new stuff.
Hmm.
But just so you don't, because for example both can get burnt out, like introverts are more often, because they get too much and they can't control it, like I can't get away, I need to be more with less stimuli in my situation.
Yeah.
Extroverts are more that they want it so much, but they don't have so much, they don't know what happens in their body and in their mind, so they get uh, tired, burnt
Yeah.
out, exhausted from that, because they seek out so much
Yeah.
situations. That was quite long already, but what I would like to say, uh, I just had another life here before, and then I talked about this book, High Performance Habits. It's mirrored here, I think, but by Brendon Burchard, and he talks about 6 habits for high performing people, and just they are divided into 2 parts: personal and social. He's going to quickly go through them, 1 to 6. The 3 first personal ones are: seek clarity, generate energy, and raise necessity. The social ones are: increase productivity, develop influence, and demonstrate courage. And like, based on in response to what you said here just now, is the one: seek clarity and generate energy. Uh, First discussion about dopamine, serotonin. That's like how you generate energy, how you handle yourself, and just not the you can explain, you can understand more about them by actually also understanding what you said. It's not just only about, okay, we all know that you should sleep well, eat well, and move well. That's what you should do. But then when you go into details, and also it's so broad, so we all know how that's what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
But then how do I know how much should I personally sleep, what should I personally eat, and what should I personally like work out, like that.
Yeah.
And then that's why we also need to know those other parts of it, or like say the science around the in neurotransmitters, and your area of
Mm-hmm.
expertise. And then also, like the first one also, like say that you talked about: seek clarity, understand yourself, your personality, because that's self knowledge.
Mm.
And yeah, so that's
My
what I want
favorite,
to say.
my favorite one actually from the book is it was a long time since I
Mm,
read it and listened to it, but the one that I think maybe changed the trajectory of my life was the raise necessity one. I think it was maybe 20 2018 or maybe 2019. I was kind of exposed to Brendon's work, and the raise
mm,
necessity one is what one of the reasons I started doing what I do. Instead
yeah,
of working with in the IT field, I kind of moved into health because
yeah. Would you
I
say that because of this book, or was it like something else, or is it actually what you're saying now?
uh
That
it was multiple things, but
mm,
definitely he had an impact, because at the time some a child in my family was diagnosed with autism or was suspected of being autistic,
mm,
and I was kind of doing all this health stuff, and then I started helping that family, and then I realized how just in general the world's health is deteriorating and it's
mm,
accelerating. So that was what basically, that's when I decided, well, it was a little bit later in 2019, I decided to write my first book on autism. But it was that's
mm,
when you kind of are given this, or not given, but when you choose this higher level mission, rather than just, oh, I'm gonna work, retire, enjoy life, travel,
mm,
that's all great, raise a family, that's all great, and everybody has their kind of role in the world. Not everybody can be like a doctor or a scientist or a singer. So we
mm,
all
no,
choose our mission, kind of thing, for this life. But me having chosen this bigger mission, it seemed to like generate a lot of energy inside me, that when you have this kind of higher purpose, for beyond yourself or just your family, immediate family, to help others, that gives you like an inner bank of power. So then you kind of, if you know what I mean, it's not
mm,
just
yes,
the vitamins, the minerals, the food, the sleep, the basic things you do to take care of your body.
mm,
It's sort of an inner drive that cannot be in kind of explained in the physical, if you know what I mean. It's like this inner purpose gives you this
mm.
energy, and then you are able to, through this energy,
It gives
create and give to
uh,
others without
mm,
it costing you. Like, I mean, I'm tired at the end of the day, like everybody else, but working with clients and stuff. But the next day I wake up, I'm like, yes, I get to help more people again today, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how I see that is that it gives meaning. That's the way you create meaning, because what I'm reading about now is that you shouldn't look for the meaning of life. You should look for things that create meaning in your life,
I
because
like that.
there is no objective outside meaning of life that you should look for, search for, and find.
Mm,
We create it on our own,
mm,
and that can be done in many ways. But just the search for meaning of life is often a race to the bottom of and it of despair. It creates a depression,
yeah.
because you don't find it. It's the same as looking for external rewards,
Yeah.
fame, money. You will end up empty,
Mm,
it often.
yeah.
So what you need to know is like, what will this give me? What will, let's say, money, what will it give me? Why do I want it? And then my life, like, not the meaning of life, in life, what's important in my life. And you don't have to go so to like a high level. It's often what you do daily, and also what you remember from your life. You look at your life, like a human being's life is not so long, when you compare it to the history of the world,
Hmm.
and even the history of humans. It's like not
Yeah.
so long, in that sense. So how should I use it? And like, if you then look only for the meaning of life, you can get really like aware of, and scared, and afraid of the length of my life and my impact. uh,
Yeah.
so rather go then to the daily things, and then that's why these habits are so good, because habits are the things we do on a daily basis, or maybe weekly or monthly, but just it has a repeating, recurring pattern. And just it's something you continuously do, instead of just looking for the reason, the meaning that has, like, when I have found it, then it's the end, or like, then I
Yeah.
done. But
Yeah.
why, if you would, you really like to have that? Would you like to find that
Yeah.
somehow,
Yeah.
that find the objective meaning, or like, no, I really know what's the meaning of life, of
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
life? But why would it help?
It.
It's a good exercise. You can imagine, if I would have it today, like right now, how would it change? Would
Yeah.
it be, how much better would it be? uh,
Yeah. It's like I like the kind of, it's one of those Zen stories or whatever, and then the kind of the Zen master will say to his students, when you're starting out in the path of Zen, the mountains are mountains and the rivers are rivers, and then
mhm,
you're deep into it, and you're like have this profound change in how you see everything, and the mountains are not mountains and the rivers are not rivers anymore. And then when you kind of learn some stuff and you get on the other side, the mountains are mountains again and the rivers are rivers again. So I think it's important to,
mm,
at one point, because I think a lot of people, maybe that's why there's so much discontentment in general in the current couple of generations, is because maybe they've never even thought, what do they even want to do with their life? They just kind of, oh, my parents got me into college, I got a job after college, and now I do this. And that's why guys have
mm,
these what you call it, uh midlife
mm,
crises, and they're buying a motorbike or whatever, divorcing their wife or whatever. And
mm,
it's
mm,
because I think they just never got to explore life,
mm,
their consciousness, whatever they want
no,
to do for a while, back across the world, whatever the case for that
mm,
person is required. Take psychedelics for a year or whatever, because once you do that, then you kind of, you can go back to your previous life, but it's through, at least through conscious choice, where you're like, okay, I actually enjoy living here in my neighborhood where I grew up. I love it here, I know everybody, I feel safe, I want to start a family here. And then you do that, but you now have a conscious sort of purpose in life. Whereas I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they're going based on kind of the currents of society. The current is dragging them along, and as they say, only dead fish swim in the sea. So waking up and kind of consciously thinking about these things once in a while really can help you um just figure out what do you want to do with your life. Because when you're doing what you want to do in life, happiness comes, and then that alone creates this kind of sense of purpose that no amount of psychological hacks, biological hacks, supplements, meditation, none of these things will undo that if you don't have that kind of purpose and sense of knowing what you're doing with your life.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. The things you talk about now are also things that you can't really be explained with words. You need
Yeah.
to experience it. So,
Yeah.
and mm, you can make an attempt to explain, and that's what they do. They explain it, but you have to experience it to understand it. And
Yeah.
but like so I will not try. It would require a lot of time
Yeah.
and all of um, but, but then about the middle age crisis, but then what I remember, in my opinion, is that what happens is that you then get in contact with that life has an ending, and your life, my life, has an ending. I get to now I'm at this age, or soon going to be. Oh no, I don't know how long I will live, and I don't how long I have left. I need to do these things before my time is up, and then you start doing those things that you actually would like to do,
Yeah.
and that's interesting to see. And it's also like it's in a way there's nothing wrong with it, because it's just your expression of yourself. This is
Yeah.
like, these are things I would like to do in my life, and now I do them.
Yeah.
And there's some external motivation, or like some insight, that now I do it. But just then it easily gets kind of too much, like too extreme, too big changes or something like that. It's not balanced, because you have waited for too long, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder, we have 1 minute left, and we just got started.
Yeah.
We have talked for half an hour, and I have enjoyed this discussion, and it was much easier we have when we can discuss around it, like back and
Yeah.
forth. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted. So what else? Like, probably there could be some next or second part to this in the future. We might, you might see some new events coming, or some posts around it, and look out for that. Because also it's good to keep it around this length of time. You don't, so just keep, take one part at a time. Is there something you would like to say now before we end?
On it's we just covered so many topics that I'm not even sure what what conclusion to give it
Talks
to.
about how can people buy your book, or books, what do you
Oh,
have right now?
yeah, the book is on Amazon. How to actually, let's see if the how to actually live longer,
Yeah,
volume 1. I'm gonna write a
yeah, that's
couple more.
interesting. Volume 1. So you have like an idea of
Yeah,
other
it's
parts. Is it
I
like,
have, I
or
probably
like
have at
it's
least
planned?
well, I know what I will talk about in. It's all stuff I do with my clients already. So like we already do it with my clients, all the stuff that will be in the next books. But it takes so much time to research things properly and plan it out and make it nice. Like people tell me the book is actually enjoyable to read. Like they're laughing sometimes because I try to put some
Okay.
humor in there. So
Okay.
it's not,
That's
it
good.
takes time to do that. nicely, because I think a lot of
Mm,
people don't read much. So if you give them a book, you want to make sure that they read it. So it's going to be a
mm,
small book, 200 pages, with a bit of
mm,
humor,
mm,
a bit of science, a bit of practicality. And then after a week, you've read the book and you actually have real tools to increase your longevity and your health and improve your
mm,
just your physical mental performance. Whereas I find a lot of these longer books, there's a lot of intellectual sort of, back how smart I am by the author, but no
mm,
real tools are given other than
mm,
stories and stuff like that, and kind of shared experiences and molecular mechanisms. There's no
mm.
real concrete advice for people that can do immediately today,
Yeah,
next
yeah.
week, and this is what
Mm,
I think is really lacking with a lot of this longevity advice. And
mm,
there's a lot of there's just a lot of misinformation about what it really required to increase your longevity. And also I thought
mm.
this
Yeah, yeah.
this
So,
this would be
so people don't really know about how they maybe know about how to live a good life long, but just actual things, actual
yeah.
what they
well,
should do, they don't know about that, or
well they there a lot of people are doing the opposite of what is right, like
uh,
fasting, low carb diets,
yeah, yeah. Mm.
a lot of exercise, fish oil, you know they're
Mm,
doing
mm,
so many things that are actually harming them, as opposed to
mm,
in extending their life. They're shortening their life.
mm,
Seriously, it's bad, man. It's
mm.
bad.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And
So
yeah,
yeah, so it's much more than what we know now. Like in the 50s, 60s, we thought that tobacco was not so smoking was not that bad. We know that smoking now shortens your life. Too much alcohol shortens your life, and there's a debate also that is red wine good for you, or is it white wine, and how could
yeah,
that longer your make your life longer?
yeah,
But then it seems like we know, okay, that's not really good, and it doesn't. There's more things we know about that shortens your life, but how much do we know about what longers your life? And we have things that you mentioned with good marketing and
yeah,
also a good product to sell,
yeah,
like easy to produce, or like it's
yeah.
not,
Or
yeah.
a waste
Oh,
product, like fish oil is a
phrase.
waste product from
Mm,
the fishing industry, and it just was rebranded, repurposed as, we can't throw all of this away, guys.
mm,
That's gonna be too much hassle. Let's sell it to people and tell them it's good for their heart, even though
mm,
lipid lipid peroxidation, which is the process of those lipids getting damaged and becoming carcinogenic and damaging, that process
mm,
accelerates cardiovascular disease. And omega
mm.
3s are the most susceptible to that lipid peroxidation process, just as an example. And I haven't even covered that in this
Interesting.
book. It will be in the next book. I have a whole
Mm.
chapter
Oh
on
yeah,
that.
so look out for that part. Yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
More to come.
yeah.
Yeah, just well, yeah. I just thought about, for example, telomeres that you can extend. That's at the tips of your chromosomes. They
Yeah.
are like the telomeres, and they can be extended by, for example, self-compassion, mindfulness, stuff like that.
Hmm.
You are kind to yourself, and that's a way to make your life longer, better. Uh, I think we're just in the start of knowing actually
Yeah.
what that means. So
Yeah.
that connects to that also. There's so much we don't know about this in a
Yeah,
way.
and I
So
think a big one we're never gonna understand fully, I think, is just positive mental attitude is so important. You know,
mhm. Sounds
it's
like Napoleon Hill.
yeah, this positive
But
mental attitude is really very, very important for that. If Because if you turn into like one of these guys that are like afraid of all the toxins and the mold and you're
mm,
constantly like trying to detox yourself and making sure all your food is organic all the time and the air
mm,
is super clean, well, then you can't even go like traveling, you can't even go in, so that really
no, no.
creates a
Mm,
lot of nocebo effect, the opposite of placebo.
yeah,
So it's kind of,
yeah.
it can be taken too far, and I have in the past taken these things a bit too far, and it creates the stress that creates is more than the health benefits you get from a specific thing that you're stressing over. Sometimes, not always,
Mm,
but sometimes it can. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has an effect on us. And just I remember my favorite example around that is from the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. There
Mm.
was this one of the other prisoners, or was it a guard? I don't remember, but the important thing to remember was that this person had a date when they would be freed.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a god also, because prisoners became gods, and then they were
Ah.
they were the Germans, or the Nazis had the concentration camps, and then there was this capos, I think they were called, which were like also Jews. They were even in the book. Viktor Frankl said that these capos was even worse than the Nazis, because
Yeah, yeah.
they were like, you first they were all prisoners, and then they were like promoted to
Mm-hmm.
take care of these prisoners, but they were like in between, and they were pressured, of course. So you
Yeah,
want to they actually were really much worse than the Germans, or like,
yeah,
not as
yeah,
a German as a people, but
yeah, yeah.
those
In the
people,
in that
people in that
environment.
situation
Yeah,
environment. And that's so that
yeah.
and so one of them, it was either a prisoner or a couple, both are the same actually, but
Yeah.
they had a date where they should be freed. And when that date came around, they were not freed yet. And what happened, he got some, was it a heart attack or something, that he actually passed away during that day, because he
Mm-hmm.
was so in his mind that we and I will be free in this day. And
Mm-hmm.
when it didn't happen, like they were not liberated, he then got a disease and passed
Jesus.
away. And
Yeah.
he's a really good example in the book. And that's just example of the attitude, how like we are so set for something that if the reality doesn't align with that, we create, we change and adapt to that. For in
Yeah.
this example, he was
By
in a
the
way liberated. So
by the way, it's interesting that you kind of go that direction, because apparently serotonin can actually be involved in this sort of, so there's a couple of different modalities here. So you have the concept of learned helplessness. So if you're in a
mm,
situation like the studies were with animals. So if you have a rat in water, it's there's no ladder for it to climb out of the water in the bucket.
yeah,
It would just swim for hours and hours and hours
mm,
until it drowns, right?
mm,
uh if you put a rat that sees that next rat, it will swim for like a few minutes and to give up, you know. But
mm,
if the rat sees another rat escape from
mm.
that, it will swim until it literally dies of exhaustion. So
Uh,
and serotonin drives this kind of these mechanisms. And also the one with where they promote like a prisoner to like a kind of a guard level or whatever,
mm,
that apparently serotonin is involved in these hierarchical systems. And a high serotonin, it can cause learned helplessness in the subordinates, but then it can make
mm.
the people above them very aggressive and domineering and
Oh,
this
really?
kind of stuff. So
Oh,
yeah, these things are very very kind of connected,
oh.
these
Mm.
neurotransmitters. Yeah, yeah,
It has like a survival value. I
yeah,
see both as a survival, because if you are like learned helplessness, it's like, okay, I prepare for some, I can't do anything about it. I prepare for making my situation better, like
yeah,
prepare for the worst. So I get passive. And the other
yeah.
one, okay, no have opportunity to show my value, so I will punish, or I will show aggressiveness in this situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
also
yeah.
gorillas.
Yes.
The kind of the alpha gorilla, apparently they found that it has a higher serotonin, and if you remove the alpha from the pack, the one that kind of comes in to to the alpha position, his serotonin elevates as well. That's probably another way to kind of
Mm,
it's it. I don't know why is it. Does it precede the hierarchical thing? Does it kind of change things when
mm. Yeah.
he becomes
Yeah.
alpha. But it
Cool.
definitely, we have a lot of these things influencing our behavior and others around us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a good topic to talk more about serotonin, the role of that. It's really
Yeah,
interesting. I see the clock. I need to let you go, Christian, and it was really great to be able to do this together with you and to talk around these topics. Uh, I know that you have to go, and
thank
I
you,
wish
Torbjörn.
you
Thank you so
thank you,
much.
and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you
And
so much. This was fun.
it is.